Hey everybody, it's AskPat13. Welcome back to another live stream. I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you're watching this, the VOD, if I'm no longer live, welcome. You can feel free to skip around. I'm going to be predicting the European RLCS Regional number 3. So seeing who I think makes the major out of the regional, feel free to skip ahead, see what I think, watch your favorite parts. If you're watching live, welcome. I hope you're having a fantastic evening. I'm having an awesome one. And it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun predictions. The final regional of the split. After this, we have Major 1 coming up, and then following that will be the second split of the season, then the World Championship. So we're almost halfway over. It's crazy how fast RLCS goes. It feels like you wait forever, then it starts, and boom, it's over in an instant. But that's where we're at. We're nearing the end of the first split. And that means that all the other regions besides Europe are done. That's correct. Every single region besides Europe has completed their RLCS split. We know who's attending the major. In fact, we even know one European team, KCorp, who locked it in last regional. So there are only 3 spots left up for grabs, all from Europe, and it is really a dogfight for that last spot in Europe, much like it was in North America. The last spot is fully up for grabs. There is no guarantees. Perhaps the only team that should feel safe is perhaps BDS, but even they're not locked in for that second spot in Europe, and it really could go any way. Now, folks, reminder, I do have a Discord you can join by checking out the link in the description. I'm going to go ahead and notify folks I am live, and we'll get started. Welcome, Ahmad SA. How are you doing? Long time no see. I'm doing good. We're about to be predicting European RLCS. I'm just going to notify the Discord. And then we'll get going. But how have you been doing, Ahmad? I'm doing great. It's been a fun season so far. How about you? What you been up to? Alrighty, let's get into it. So folks, for any of you that aren't aware, this is the result of the double elim bracket. We have gotten it down to 16 teams in Europe: KCorp, Wild, BDS, Novo, Gentlemates, Moist, Magnifico, Top Cougars, Vitality, Endpoint, Oxygen, Solary, Redemption, Forward, Belagol, and Team 3. Now, a lot of these teams are repeat offenders. They've been in the RLCS, the split. In fact, the only new team, and there is one, is RL Esports. So Mala, Dead, and Rukia, this is the first time we're seeing them this season. And in the case of Mala and Rukia, if I'm not mistaken, the first time they've ever made an RLCS regional. Dead, who formerly went by Dead Monster, is a return face. He has been in RLCS in the past, in the distant past. It's been a while. But it's going to be a fun one, this regional. I think you got your favorites, your Vitality, your BDS, your KCorp, your Gentlemates, but it's a lot of, fun faces here that are fighting it out to make the last spot. You got Magnifico tied with Vitality, Oxygen just a point behind. So it really is wide open how this regional is going to go. That's how you know they're going 0-9. I don't know which team you're referring to, Sean, but yeah, there's no guarantees if you're talking about Novo or any team for that matter. No guarantees. And Europe's so crazy that sometimes the new teams, the underestimated teams, don't go 11-9 and they beat teams they're not supposed to. 100% didn't make this regional, but in the first regional beat Vitality in round 1. So Sean, I said the same thing about 100%, and then look, they beat Vitality. So anything's possible. And it's important to note that Novo does start their day off against one of the top dogs, BDS. So it's going to be a tough matchup, but again, nothing is impossible. Welcome, Veronique Vivienne. You believe it's going to be KCorp, BDS, Magnifico, and Oxygen. Not impossible, especially given, Magnifico and Oxygen are right behind the pack. But that would require passing up Gentlemates as well as Vitality. Now, again, Magnifico tied with Vitality, but they would have to pass Magnifico. Same thing, Oxygen. So 100% isn't that bad. Well, as Sean, but people were saying that before the first regional. and then they didn't even make this regional. You could argue bad bracket, but all that to say that Europe's hard to predict, Ashan, and sometimes the teams that shouldn't win anything surprise you. All right, well, let's get into predictions. So I've showed you the bracket. In fact, really quickly, I will recap. One last thing is this double elim bracket, the teams that didn't make it. So I think some of the most notable ones here has to say Resolve. Gridserve Resolve only made one regional. Absolutely wild. They only made the first regional. Most people, pretty much everybody had them top 16. I don't think it would be crazy to say that almost everybody had them top 16. Oida, who made the last regional, barely missed out. That's a big shocker. They made top 8 last regional. Now they don't even qualify. Solary, actually a new face I forgot to mention. They don't feel like a new face because it's KDOP, Chaussette, and RizFox, but this is actually their first regional of the season. They've been on the cusp of making it, but this is their first time qualifying. KDOP and Chaussette, very familiar faces. RizFox, a bit of a young gun on deck, I believe his first ever regional. Great question in the chat from Vivienne. The way you get this sheet is you go to Adam Corso, his name, I'm just going to copy it. This is his @ on Twitter. It's his spreadsheet. I'm using it. Highly recommend you check him out on Twitter. He's the one that makes these. Yeah, go check him out. And that's how he's tweeted it. You just go get his, get a copy of this. KDOP, so he's not going 0-3. I doubt it. I doubt Solary go 0-3, but we'll have to see how they do with the predictions. And that's what I'm going to start off. I'm going to start off with my prediction. So last thing, I guess, in chat, Ashan said, if both Vitality and Gentlemates miss the tournament, I'll rip your hair out. Stranger things have happened, but I do believe one of those two will make it. I think Gentlemates are safer, and not just because they're ahead, not because they're ahead really, because that it doesn't mean very much at this point, but more because I just think I think Vitality, it just feels like a down split for them, and I know they did better last regional, but I don't think they did good enough, and I don't know if they will do good enough. So I just have more doubts about them. Maybe a little bit of bias. I've been a Seiko fan in the recent past, but anyway, let's get into things. KCorp, Wild, a good squad. They did miss the last regional, but they made the first one. They look good doing it. I don't think it's enough to beat KCorp though. I favor KCorp pretty heavily here. I will give Wild a game. The last time Wild played KCorp, it was a sweep in the double elim bracket in Regional 2. It actually eliminated Wild, if I'm not mistaken, because KCorp was in the lower bracket. However, it went to an insane overtime in the third match, and Wild's player disconnected. So based on that matchup just last event, although again it was in the double elim qualifier, I think I'm going to favor KCorp, but I'm going to give Wild a game because of that last performance. Next up, BDS Novo. This is that new look Novo squad with Dead Monster and 2 new players. I'm not going to give them a lot of credit. I think they could pop off, but against a BDS, very unlikely. I'm going to see that being a sweep. BDS, one of the strongest, if not the strongest. KCorp's been the strongest, but BDS have been the only team that even looks like they could beat KCorp, aside from SA. Obviously, SA beat KCorp, but a bit strange. But anyway, next up, Gentlemates versus Moist. I would favor Gentlemates here. Moist has had up and down days. I think this one's going to be a good matchup from them. They're going to take it to game 5, but they're still going to come up just a tad short. Next up here, Magnifico versus Top Cougars. Oh, this is a spicy one. It's going to be Top Cougars. I want to pick an upset here eventually, but I think Magnifico have just proven how good they are. And although Top Cougars looked like one of the best teams that didn't make it to top 8, I don't think they're able to take down a true top 8 team like Magnifico, who's proven it. Next up, Vitality Endpoint. I love me some Endpoint, and I know Vitality has had some struggles in the Swiss, but I don't think they struggle too heavy with this one. I do think Endpoint take a game, but I'm giving that one to Vitality 3-1. They really just need to start clicking again. I don't know what's happening. I don't think it's Zen. I don't necessarily think it's either Alpha or Radosin either, but I know the trio just isn't quite clicking like they used to. I don't know if it's the coach. Obviously, the only change they made coming into this split was now they have Fairy Peak as their coach and no longer have Coach Farah. Did that make a difference? Who's to say? I'm not sure how they'll go about it if they did miss the major, but we'll get into that if and when we get to the end of the broadcast. We talk about how that'll go. Anyway, next up, Oxygen Solary. A really spicy matchup. Obviously, the legendary KDOP is almost as legendary teammate Chaussette and RizFox, up-and-comer. After how Oxygen bounced back last regional, though, it's not going to be enough. But I'm going to make this one a bit of an upset in that, oh, whoops, wrong thing. I'm going to make it a game 5. I do believe that Solary is going to have a really great event because there's not a lot of events left in the bag for KCorp. Like, well, I don't want to say it like that, but he's probably going to retire soon. You see what Squishy did? KCorp in a very similar scenario. KCorp could keep making regionals, I have no doubt in my mind, but he might want to go the Squishy route. He is a huge content creator. He might want to go that route, stop stressing about being a pro. And if he does, this could be not the last one, but one of the last regionals for KCorp, or Shusset for that matter too, but especially KCorp, given he's doing content as well on the side. Auction Redemption Belagal, interesting, Vivian. You think oh, I see you're predicting these last 3. And I mean, those would be the favored matchups, but this is where I'm going to predict an upset. We've seen Forward take down teams they're not supposed to, and it's going to start happening again. I think this regional is going to be much the same. Regional 1, Forward at least won 1 series. I believe they won 2 series, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to go back and fact check that, but I know they've looked surprisingly good. And I do think they'll be able to take down a Redemption squad that doesn't expect it. Comes out of the gate, underestimating Forward. Next up here, Belagal Team 3. This one's pretty even. I actually am going to give it to Team 3. I don't think Belagal is the underdogs per se, but I have no sweeps? I had 1 sweep. But it's too many game 5s, but I do believe in a Belagal fighting through, but just Team 3 is proven. They've made top 8. They've looked really good, and I think they can come back and take that series from Belagal. In the chat, Mystic Expert, welcome. Mystic, welcome, welcome. Saying Fairy Peak also normally rates higher than 2 of his own players on the roster he coaches in all game modes. Really? Oh, because Fairy Peak's one of those players that basically KCorp and Fairy Peak were, in my opinion, very similar level of skill. And Fairy Peak chose to retire, whereas KCorp's still playing. So I still think Fairy Peak could be making events, or even because he was a 1v1 player, he could still be doing 1v1s, making top 8 Europe 1v1s. But yeah, he's opted to go the coaching route. It's an interesting point, Mystic. He's not going to go back to playing though. I don't think ratings everything there. Not that that's what you were saying. You weren't saying that. But anyway, all right. Next up here, BDS versus Team 3. And I actually like this matchup for Team 3. Obviously not going to be the one they want to see, but I think it's a better matchup than KCorp. But it's still going to be way too much. I think BDS take that 3-1. A solid squad, Team 3, but not going to take down BDS here. Meanwhile, though, KCorp versus Forward. I am going to favor KCorp, but I'm going to give Forward a game, which most would be as a shocker. But again, I mean, this KCorp, we've seen them lose to SA, so not impossible for them to be dropping some games here. Next up, Magnifico versus Oxygen. And this isn't an upset in the standings, but it's kind of an upset in my mind. I'm going to pick Magnifico over Oxygen. I think Oxygen's a great squad. And I'm going to make that 3-1. I'm going to make that 3-1. I think if it did go to game 5, that's where Oxygen starts to pull ahead a little bit. But I think Magnifico start out strong and just slam it home. I like how you're doing these predictions alongside me, Vivian. So I appreciate it. You also believe in the BDS KCorp and Magnifico for that matter. You've got Vitality next, but this is where I'm going to go up against the grain, I guess, if you're the one. From your predictions anyway. I'm going to predict Gentlemates here. We've seen this matchup before. I believe it has gone both ways. I think Gentlemates has won at least 1 and Vitality's won at least 1. But I am going to pick Gentlemates here. I think they're going to be hungrier coming into the end here. I could be wrong, but I think they're going to be a bit hungrier in this final push, this final run for the major. Next up here is Redemption versus Novo. I like this for Novo, but it's not gonna be enough. I would even call it sweep. I think Redemption got that handled easily. Next up, Wild versus Belagal. It's gonna be a Belagal victory. Wild, not a bad squad, but I think Belagal's really proven themselves in these past couple regionals. Welcome, Joey, in the chat. How are you doing today? Loving the content. I appreciate it. You've been in a Rocket League slump, you and your son, but you love watching your energy. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Joey. I appreciate it. If you like the streams, also check out the videos. Well, not quite the same level of intensity or whatever, but definitely check out the video. It's a documentary of sorts about Jorius. You might enjoy it if you like Rocket League Esports. Hopefully this Saturday I can also watch Party Europe. I don't know if I will. I'm gonna try to anyway. I don't know if I'll get to it though. Next up here, Solary versus Top Cougars. I would absolutely love to give Solary a series here, but this is a top Cougar squad that's taken down Endpoint as an example. They've taken down, didn't they beat Oxygen? I'm pretty sure they've taken down top contenders. They've also lost games they shouldn't lose, but I do think they're going to be able to take this one pretty handily. We'll call it 3-1 for Solary, or sorry, for top Cougars. Next up, Moist versus Endpoint. Now this is a match where both these teams are not expecting to go 0-3. So you'd be a bit surprised to see them in that bottom round. And I think it's going to be Moist going there. I think Endpoints, they've had their ups and downs, but I think that they've proven they're a bit better than a Moist squad that's really struggling. Much heavier than I thought they would struggle. Much heavier. All right. Vivian says your favorite team by far is Team Liquid. Oh yeah, well I'm sorry that they're not a team anymore. But hey, you probably follow one of the 3 players wherever, so obviously you know this. But you know, KCorp's got a Tau, Oxygen has got Oski, and although they're not making the regionals, Acronic is currently playing for what's it called, Luna Galaxy. Luna Galaxy. Not been doing well though. It was basically a last second team for Acronic. It's kind of crazy. He really should have got a top tier team. I don't know why he didn't. But anyway, next up here, oh, spicy BDS Gentlemates. But for all I'm high on Gentlemates. I think they're gonna do well. BDS have just proven that they're the more consistent team, and I do think they managed to take down this Gentlemate squad in 5. Next up here, KCorp Magnifico. I'd like to see an upset, but KCorp have looked really pristine in the actual regional events, and I think this is another 3-1 victory for KCorp. Next up here, Vitality versus Top Cougars. I'm kind of torn. I'd like to see a Top Cougar upset, but it's really not in the cards. And I'd almost say, I think this is like a reality check for Vitality after they lose to Gentlemates, where like, we got to make the major, guys. Come on. And then they pull it together against Top Cougars. That went to sweep. Next up here, Oxygen, Endpoint. We need some upsets in here. I want it to be an upset. I don't know if it'll actually happen, but I know Endpoint can be Oxygen. I believe they already did once this season. Or at least Endpoint beat Gentlemates once this season. I know that happened. So like Endpoint's proven they can take down a top team, and I think they do it here. Although, to be fair, Oxygen probably is higher stakes. Endpoint, almost out. Not out, but almost out of the major race at this point. Next up here, Forward versus Belagal. I do believe this will be a Belagal victory, but don't count out Forward. Definitely not an impossible win for them. Next up here, Team 3 versus Redemption. These two have matched before, and I do believe it was a Team 3 victory, and I'm going to give it once again to Team 3. Redemption, not a bad squad, but I think they drop it there. Next up here, Moist versus Nova. I'm going to check Vivian again, showing their predictions. BDS, KCorp, Vitality, Oxygen, Forward, Team 3. I mean, yeah, pretty much. We had a few differences there, but for the most part, I gotcha. A lot of these are toss-ups, to be fair. Next up here, Moist versus Novo. I didn't want it to be 0 and 9 for Novo, and it won't be. But it is going to be a 0 and 3 defeat. I'm going to give him a game, though, against Moist. I think Moist is the kind of squad they give up games they shouldn't, if we're being real. So a game there for Novo, but Moist take it home. Last but not least, Solary versus Wild. Wild is a really solid team, and they would be a surprisingly solid team to go 0-3. I really believe they've got a win in them, but I can't send Kate up home like that. We'll give them a win there. Game 5. Buzzer beater, not buzzer beater, but an overtime goal for K-Dop seals the deal, let's say. He's not really the striker of that squad. It would be Rise Fox, but we'll call it a victory there for Solary. And that brings us to an interesting round 4. We have got Magnifico, Endpoint, Gentlemates, Team 3, Vitality, Belagal, and then the lower round, Redemption, Solary, Oxygen, Moist. Oxygen, Moist. Ooh, ouch. Battle of the Big Orgs, and then Forward, Top Cougars. Let's get into this with Magnifico, Endpoint. I am an Endpoint believer, but the reality is these teams have faced, and it's usually Magnifico victory. I'm going to call it there. If Vitality miss major, drop Radosin, pick up Acronic. It depends on who's available, but Acronic for Radosin, not a terrible idea. Not a terrible idea. Although, wait a minute, isn't Acronic also a third man? So Zen and Acronic might not play well together just because they kind of occupy a similar spot in the field, right? Am I crazy? I believe Acronic and Zen are both third men, so maybe it doesn't work. But anyway, Welcome, Fooney. How are you doing today? Going back to the stream. Next up here, Gentlemates Team 3. Your favorite players are chronic. Well, Vivian, if it makes you feel better, I don't know for sure, but I feel pretty confident he's going to find a team for next split. I'd be shocked if he didn't find a team. Because he was a top 4 team. Like, he was on a top 4 team in the world, and he deserved. Like, that he wasn't getting carried. I know his teammates, most people rate his teammates better than him, and that might be true. But just because he was potentially the 3rd best player on his team does not mean he was being carried. And I'm just shocked I'm shocked he didn't find a team. I'm shocked. Anyway, next up here, Gentlemates Team 3. And I'm gonna give it to Gentlemates. Team 3 certainly could be ripe for the upset. I'll give it a game 5, but I think that's a Gentlemate squad that's fighting for their major lives, and they're not going to go down that easy. Next up here, Vitality, Belagal, very similar story, except I'm going to call this one a sweep, I think. Vitality really taking care of business after that tough loss to Gentlemates. Next up in the lower round, Redemption, Solary, and I'd love for the Solary, run to continue, but Redemption has proven a lot this split. Solary have not. Solary haven't even made a regional yet, and I don't have a lot of faith that they'll go super far in this one. Next up here, Oxygen versus Moist. I mean, their best win, I should say, by the way, for Solary is they beat Suh in this qualifier to get here. So they did beat Suh. So if they beat Suh, they could easily beat Redemption. But I'm going to call it a Redemption victory there. Next up, Oxygen, Moist. And although it'd be funny to see a Moist victory here, I think it's the end of the run. Joyo's got to find a better team. Moist not at this split. Next up here, Forward, Top Cougars. And I like the up pick on Top Cougars. Forward could certainly win that matchup. It's pretty much a coin flip, but I'm gonna go with Top Cougars. I think they got another final round matchup here like they have in the past, and this leaves us some interesting matchups. We've got a Belagal versus Top Cougars. Gonna see a team in the top 8 that people wouldn't expect, and I think this is Belagal's time. I think Belagal, a top 8, I believe their first top 8 of the split, although they've come on the cusp of it at least a couple of times now. Top Cougars just short of making a back-to-back top 8, or I think they got top 8 last region, but just short. Next up here, Oxygen versus Team 3, and I would love to see a Team 3 repeat because they did make top 8 last regional, but Oxygen's the one with the major spot on the line, and I think they play like they know it. They play like they know it. They win that one 3-1 over a Team 3 that comes tantalizingly close to a run here into the top 8. Game 5 against Gentlemen, it's gonna leave them shaking their heads in disappointment. Most realistic option seems like a Chronic. Well, Sean, that's where, call me crazy, but that's where you might be wrong. If there's a squad like, for example, a BDS, a Gentlemates that loses to KCorp in the major, and they want to win the world championship, and they think they need a change, even though they got top 4 at the major, they might make a change. And you might be saying, why would you make a change after you got top 4 at the major? And I agree with you. Why? Because Europe go Burr. They make a lot of roster moves, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see a roster move after that. Just because there's no 3rd split. So they got to lock in. And if you want to win the world championship, you think you don't have a shot, you make a change. So that's how Vitality could get a better player, is if someone on Gentlemates, if someone on BDS thinks they want to play with Zen and Alpha. That's basically how I would go. Welcome, Felipe. By the way, Felipe, you probably don't realize this. You are currently a channel member. Someone gifted subs, they gifted memberships to the channel out randomly, like YouTube gives them out randomly, and you got a sub. So for the next month, about a month, you're a channel member. Congrats. Top Cougars have Gregan. Hey, they do have a great coach, Gregan, a world champion coach. So definitely not to be underestimated, but I don't know. Belagal's shown a lot this split, and I do think they'll be able to take it. Top Cougars, though, could easily be back in the top 8. It easily could be. Vitality better make the major. It won't be the same without Zen. I would hate to miss all the content they would have made with Zen. Like, they made videos with Zen last time, the team of casters and all that making content. I'd love to see some Zen content again. But they're on the cusp. And speaking of on the cusp, we're on the cusp of our top 8. We've got one more spot, Endpoint Redemption. And this might be a bit of fan copium, but I'm going to believe in the Endpoint victory here. We'll call it a close one. We'll call it a game 5 against Redemption, but they do take that final spot into the playoffs, which of course nets them a not so fun matchup with KCorp. Also, a major spot on the line, Magnifico Gentlemates. Similarly, this couldn't have been, this couldn't have been a better script. Vitality, Oxygen, Magnifico, Gentlemates. These are major berths on the line. If we take a look at the point ranking in this moment in time, because I believe this is updated to the moment, Vitality and Magnifico are 3 points behind Gentlemates. So that means if Magnifico beats Gentlemates, they are now at least tied with them. Similarly, the loser of this is just straight up out. Oxygen's a point behind Vitality. If you lose, you're out. So this is massive. This is quite literally, you know, boom or bust. So we'll have to see how they do. They're, like I said, a lot on the line in these matchups. And I say we'll see how they do, but I gotta predict it. I gotta predict it. So let's get into that. Let's get into that. Or I'll read the chat real quick. Liquid fell out of RL after getting top 4, so it wouldn't be the wildest thing. I guess so. Couldn't be the wildest thing. Reagan Old, he's going C now. He's not going C now. When you stop playing Rocket League, you want to coach an RLCS quals team. You know, I wish it was that easy. But okay, I saw Graybeard, who's like the big caster, you know, person of note in Sub-Saharan Africa that runs tournaments and stuff. He was saying if you want to play, if you're like a, you know, player from Europe or North America and you want to play in Sub-Saharan Africa and take on 2 up-and-coming Sub-Saharan African players, let him know, because he has contacts. And I'm like, well, it almost feels like if you want to coach a team, that would be a place to start. Some of these developing regions like Sub-Saharan Africa, you can be a coach from across, you know, internet ping, and it's not nearly as much an issue. You know, you're a little bit of Discord delay. So you could do, that's probably the place to coach, is these up and coming regions like Sub-Saharan Africa, APAC. Find a team that needs a coach if they speak English, which they do in Sub-Saharan Africa. You love Graybeard? Yeah, the guy's hilarious. Especially his takes on the whole Young Money Clan situation was so funny. He was celebrating. Rightfully so, rightfully so. That's the Funi. If you want to do that, unironically, he just tweeted that. Like, I'm not making that up. Graybeard tweeted that, and although he was talking about playing and being a team captain, I think he also meant coaching. So if you really want to do that, DM Graybeard. His DMs are open. All right, let's keep going. For anyone that isn't aware, well, I think I mentioned it, but Graybeard, again, big community figure in Sub-Saharan Africa. He's the most notable community figure out of Sub-Saharan Africa, RLCS, that isn't a pro. He's like the head caster. He's like the Gibbs of Sub-Saharan Africa, really, I guess, is the way you'd put it. All right, let's keep going here. KCorp versus Endpoint. This is going to be one of the easiest quarterfinal matchups to predict. I love Endpoint, but KCorp's got this covered. I'm going to give Endpoint a game, but they might not even get that much. We're going to skip ahead to the next easiest one, BDS versus Belagal. And I'm going to give Belagal a couple games. I think they make this one more interesting than people expect, but it's still a pretty clean BDS victory. And this win, by the way, should lock in BDS to the major. Next up, Magnifico, Gentlemates. And this is where it gets tough. This is where it gets real tough. Because, again, this is a major spot on the line. You have to win if you want to make the major, and I don't think Magnifico can do it. I think they come so close, they come so far, but in the final moment, I think in a 6-game series, Gentlemates shows why they deserved to be considered top 4. And again, Gentlemates has made a grand final. They've beaten Vitality, so I think they got that one in the cards. They take down Magnifico and join KCorp in the top 4, and that leaves us with now what we know to be the final major spot, because now if you win this, you're in. If you lose, you're out. This one had some tiebreaker potential shenanigans. There's no tiebreaker shenanigans here. This is it. Win, you're in. Lose, you're out. That's it. And straight up, I want to predict the upset. I really want to, because I don't know if it'll happen, but I know it could happen. It really could. It really could. Welcome, Suspect, by the way, in the chat. How are you doing today? I'm a win. I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Suspect. Did you see Copenhagen skit? Yes. Oh my goodness. Wait, we have to watch that. We have to watch that in a second. I'm going to pull it up. We're going to watch it just because it's hilarious. But that skit is hilarious. But Vitality, Oxygen, I'm predicting. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. You can't stop me. Vitality missed the major. The crazy thing is, and I really mean this could happen. I do think it's less likely, but it is far from impossible. It really is far from impossible. We've seen a really weakened Vitality, and of all the teams that could do it, it's a team like Oxygen. When Vitality have the nerves, they know if you're playing this matchup, you have a full 24 hours after the Swiss to comprehend that this is a major qualifying match. So you can't do this, Ishan. I can. You can't stop me. I've already done it. You removed my predicting privileges. Hey, call me a savant after the Vitality missed the major this weekend, okay? It's possible. It could happen. It could happen. All right, next up here, KCorp Gentlemates. A good run from Gentlemates, but they fall up short again to KCorp. Next up, BDS Oxygen. I like Oxygen, but I don't think you're going to be able to overcome a BDS. And again, they've already qualified, so I think this is that was the moment for them. The pressure's off, and they drop a series to BDS. And then here, call me controversial for a second time. I knew I was going to do this. I had a feeling anyway I was going to do this. I think there's going to be no three-peat. I think we get a new champion. BDS finally take down KCorp, Drali, a first RLCS regional championship. And I think they can do it. They looked so good last time. Like, they really did, in my opinion. I think they were really solid. Now, don't get me wrong. KCorp are the favorites, but I kind of want to, I want to do it. I want to do it. You guys are going to remove my predicting privileges. Ban this fanboy. If Vitality and Secret both miss the major, you're not watching it? Come on, Ashan. You'll watch it. Don't lie to yourself. You'll watch it. You sent me your predictions. I'll check them out in a moment. What do you guys think? I know we've got some controversial. I think we've got some new viewers, folks. This is my predictions. Tell me how crazy I am. I have Vitality missing the major. Let's check out the points ranking. So if this happened this way, we would have these 4 teams in the major. We would have a KCorp, a BDS, Gentlemates, and an Oxygen. And yeah, that would be, ooh, that would be something. That would be something. Now, I'm going to do something a little different here. You know what we're going to do? We're going to make another copy of this. Because these are my predictions. But I want to make a tiebreaker scenario, a 3-way tiebreaker that's pretty realistic. And I'll show you how. And I believe we can do it with the exact bracket we got. So we're going to do a tiebreaker scenario where we've got a 3-way tiebreaker, which is pretty realistic. Like, there's a lot of realistic 3-way tiebreakers. So let's get into it. It's taking a while to load, but once it loads, we'll get into it. And I believe what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip this with this. We're gonna flip this with this, and otherwise keep it the exact same. Oh, things are still loading. Things are still loading, so we'll give it a sec. There we go. Okay, so now look at this. Look at this scenario. 3-way tie for the final 2 spots. So I don't know if you guys know what this means, but what this means is the top 2 teams, based on a tie, like the final tiebreaker, which in this case is the most recent event, will be the first tiebreaker used. So these top 2 teams, based on the tiebreaker, which, like I said, is the most recent event, will play. The winner makes it to the major. The loser has to play Gentlemates for a spot in the major. So Gentlemates is the odd one out. They're the unlucky one that only get 1 bite at the apple. But Magnifico Vitality would play in the tiebreaker. The winner makes the major as the 3rd seed. The loser has to play Gentlemates for the final seed. This is pretty realistic. Let me know your guys' thoughts. I think this is a realistic Swiss, pretty much in a realistic bracket. Obviously, I predicted it to not go this way. I'm just saying this could happen. So Reddles on lands, best Reddles. Yep, Luminosity made the major. We're gonna talk about NA in a moment. So I'm gonna do something a little different to end this stream. We're gonna go a little longer. So I've noticed, especially these Europe streams can be a lot shorter. We're gonna talk about North America, and we're gonna do some replay analysis. There were some critical overtime Game 7 finishes, multiple Game 7 overtimes in the last North American event, and some of them had major spot implications. So we're going to do some replay analysis of those crucial moments. You got a draw. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but welcome FCB to the chat. Welcome anybody new. This is a potential scenario for the major. Like I said, 3-way tie. I think it'd be pretty nuts. If this were a tie, I do think Vitality make it, because I think they play Magnifico and they win the tiebreaker. Meanwhile, I think Gentlemates also beat out Magnifico, much like I predicted originally in that quarterfinal. But anyway, it could happen. Could happen. If it does happen this way, Magnifico, which by the way, the tiebreaker would be played immediately following the regional. I do believe Magnifico, you know, maybe they'll get hyped up by the fact they already beat Gentlemates. Who knows? Who knows? All right. Let's get into things. Next up, what are we gonna do next? I guess next up we're gonna do pick stop. So let me make sure I'm logged in here. Give me a second to log in. Gotta log in. Just a second. All right, there we go. So now we're gonna do predictions. I'm gonna do basically the same exact prediction. So gotta predict all these same teams that I did. What am I missing? Elgol, right? Yep. Teams to go 3-0. I am a basic person predicting that. And then I got Wild. Oh, that's the wrong one. Wait a minute. Oh, that's points. Okay, I'm like, why is Oida on the points list? But it's because that's overall points. Who got 0 and 3? It was Novo and Wild. Wild and Novo. All right, there we go. We've got our picks in for pick stop. And Fantasy RL, we're going to check this. Darn, I've got to log in again. There we go. In the chat, I see Felipe said there's a 70% chance EU top 4 going to the major are all French. No, it's a majority chance. But I think that 30% chance is in my opinion, more Vitality missing than Gentlemates. But yeah, I agree. The odds are with Vitality and Gentlemates for that matter. Pretty high odds. Hot take: Luminosity beats Furia. Actually, Funi, this is skipping ahead a bit because I have to do my power rankings. I have to do my predictions. But my hot take prediction for the major, Furia in the grand finals. I was thinking about it because I wanted to have some kind of hot take that I really truly believe could happen. And I've been thinking about it. I've been watching some of the highlights, watching some of the old series. I think even more than Falcons, Furia's dominance has impressed me. Because we know Mina is deep, but we know Sam is even deeper. I don't mean to be... Coming into this season, everyone was talking about how crazy deep Sam was. Then it feels like Crew and Secret underperformed in quotes, so people are no longer counting the depth of Sam. But that just proves the depth of Sam. It is incredibly deep right now. And the fact that Furia has only lost one series, to Complexity, including all the events, everything. I think Furia is the ones. I think they're the ones. They're going to make it to a grand final for the first time for Sam in a RLCS event. We'll see. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm wrong. Interesting. So this was my, fantasy team. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Joria's did great. That's a good performance for fantasy. I know it's hard to judge. These ones they're all right. 566, 542. Could have been better. Could have been worse. And we'll see how my team does. I think if we check the league, I'll see where I'm ranked at. It's hard to know. I don't want to do overall. I'm going to do just for regional 3. But it's hard to know because people could have had all 6. They can have all 6 American players. But anyway, we're doing all right. We'll do it all right. Furia, if they're peaking, they can beat almost everyone. Yeah, exactly. It really, I agree with everything you said, Felipe, because it comes down to, do we see Yan? And it really is not, it's not just Yan, but it really is Yan in particular. Do we see him return to his LAN level we've seen him perform at? He has looked like a top 5 player in the world, Yan, at individual LANs. If we see that Yan back, they can get top 2 for sure. Alrighty. Look who's in the high 40s. I don't see you. Which one's you? I don't see it. I don't see it as Sean, but that's okay. This is regional 3. This is not overall. Are you talking about overall? Aha, you're talking about overall. Very nice. Team is set to private. Oh boy. That's okay. I don't remember who you had. I know you showed it already. All right. Folks, one last thing before we get into looking, we're going to look at some, like I said, key moments from the North American major clinching. Let's quickly check a fan prediction, or a viewer prediction here, and what this would mean for the major. So what's really interesting is they actually have a tiebreaker scenario. So we'll talk about the results in a second, but let's talk about what this means. This means BDS Vitality clinched the major, expected for BDS, not crazy at all for Vitality, but Oxygen and Gentlemates have a tie, which I believe was incredibly unlikely. Yes, it actually took Gentlemates missing top 8 because there was a point differential there. So if we go back here, whoops, to their prediction, as we can see, Gentlemates actually lose to Solary. Okay, you're trolling this, Sean. You're trolling. Viewer Sean in the chat, this was his prediction. And it's not that Solary couldn't make top 8 on the day, but not in a run that includes a win over Gentlemates. I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say it. That would be a crazy run. They even ran into BDS. They beat Team 3, although they did lose their initial match to Oxygen. Beat Belagal. I don't know. I'm calling it crazy. I'm calling it a bit crazy. But they fall short to KCorp. Fun fact, last season, like a full season ago, Solary beat KCorp in a regional in a group stage match that was ultimately meaningless. But they did beat them. Then KCorp went on to win the Winter Major. So, you know what? Sometimes KDOT pulls out a win over a major winner in the same split. That's all I got to say. He can do it. They beat KCorp that won the Winter Major in the same split. So it's definitely possible. Definitely possible, Sean. But anyway, with that said, what else is crazy about this? Endpoint miss, Moist make it to round 5. Top Cougars don't even make it to round 5. Forward in the top 8. How did I miss that? Forward over Endpoint. I believe Forward's already beat Endpoint once this season, so it wouldn't be crazy, but it would be unexpected, I would say. Even with the previous matchup, it would be unexpected. You had the exact same teams going 0-3, and the only difference is you had BDS not going 3-0 because they lost Magnifico, which isn't too crazy at all. And then your actual playoffs is relatively normal. You got KCorp winning a sweep, you got Oxygen beating Magnifico in a game 7, definitely possible. You got Vitality winning over a Forward in a sweep, and you got BDS easy as pie against Redemption. Then you also have the same finale as I do. You have BDS versus KCorp in the grand final, and you have BDS winning. So a lot of similarities, but enough different that it's a bit chaotic. But who do you think would win the tiebreaker? Because you had a tiebreaker situation, you got to tell us who would win, Oxygen or Gentlemate. Sorry, would it be a Gentlemate, tie or beat them, make it despite having a tiebreaker or tied points and losing in round 5, or the Oxygen qualify? Oxygen 4-2, fascinating. So you think it's a really poor day for Gentlemates? Although I actually should mention, there is one important thing to note. Oxygen would have to play on the same day and they've already played. Gentlemates under this scenario are coming in, well, one way you can view it is they're coming in cold because they haven't played, and at the end of the regional after the grand final, Oxygen, who already played on Sunday, will play again, whereas Gentlemates are coming in cold. Is that what made you make your decision, that Gentlemates are coming in cold? They didn't even play Saturday. They played Friday, then had to sit Saturday and wait, and then play on Sunday. So it might get to their heads, Gentlemates, if they have to sit and watch on Saturday and then have to play a tiebreaker, and they won't even know if they need a tiebreaker until KCorp get the job done against Oxygen. So I guess that might get to their heads because they're literally watching, and that's the other thing. Yes, they'll be scrimming, they'll be warming up, but unless their coach is really good, they're probably going to want to watch this match. I think that would be bad for them mentally to have to watch KCorp versus Oxygen. But anyway. Alrighty, let's get into it. Really quickly, folks, don't go anywhere. We've got some more stuff to talk about. We're going to be talking about North America. So if we take a look here at the Major 1, basically. I wish they had a better name. I was gonna Fall Major, but no, it's Major 1. These are the teams that have qualified. So obviously KCorp, so many points ahead. They're already in, they're already locked in. But these are the other teams. We got North America, we got G2 Stride, Gen G, Mobile One Racing, Luminosity Gaming, and OG. From OCE, we've got Power and Pioneers. We've got Furia and Complexity from South America. Pretty much as expected. There was a huge fight for that second spot in OCE, but it's not too surprising to see Pioneers here. Probably the biggest surprise of all is that Torsauce again remained the OCE champ. Power went 3-0 in the regionals. They went undefeated, didn't lose a single series, and Torsauce still atop, the longest standing OCE pro at this point, a long time legend of the scene. Furia, not surprising to see them here. And Complexity, same deal. There was a fight for that last spot. They had to fight off Ninjas in Pajamas, but they were the favorites and they did clinch up in the final regional. Similar story here with Falcons and Rule 1. Falcons, the clear favorites, had already locked it in, but Rule 1 were also expected to be here, and no surprises there. Finally, Elevate versus Elevate and Limitless. So in APAC, Elevate were not supposed to be here. This was probably the biggest upset of making a major. They took down Gaming Gladiators in a grand final. The same Gaming Gladiators, the players I should mean, the team from Virtuoso and Realize, that beat G1 at the last major. Now they do have a different third, but this is still a top tier team, and the fact that they're losing to Elevate is a good sign for Elevate, frankly. They won 2 regionals. They should feel really good about themselves. Sphinx, up and coming young gun. I believe they are 15, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 15 years old in January, and my goodness, Sphinx is the next person up in APAC. They are really that good. They are that good. Kevin, a legend. If any of you guys watch Sunless Con, he has multiple videos with Kevin. He is a personality. He is a personality. And LCT, a longtime pro that's won regionals, been to majors representing APAC. So no surprise to see a team he is on having success. All right. With that in mind, there's only one spot left. I already kind of mentioned it, Limitless. Now, Limitless made history this event. They were the very first team to clinch a major spot by another team being disqualified. Everybody either wins a series and gets into the major, or another team gets knocked out and they make it to the major, but no. Limitless, there was no match. There was no game played when they qualified. They qualified off of a ruling posted to the RLCS Esports subreddit. So fascinating there. Another thing I never talked about, but I think is hilarious, the decision to ban Young Money Clan was posted to the subreddit, the esports subreddit, which is hilarious because they've never done that before. But they usually would post that kind of thing on Twitter. They post it on the Rocket League Reddit. Nope, they posted it on the esports subreddit. And for a little bit in time, and you can see by the Liquipedia post that broke the news to everybody, it wasn't even like he wasn't even Flair, the epic guy that sent it, because he didn't have an official Flair or anything. It wasn't, people didn't know it was official. There was no way they could have known it was official. But anyway, alrighty. With that, there's one more thing. So I think we've lost a lot of people. That's okay. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to be going and doing an analysis. So I've got a few key matchups, and we're going to quickly go to the third regional from NA on Liquipedia, because I'm going to point out the matchups we're looking at. In the playoffs here, there were multiple series winning overtimes. I said game 7. There was a game 7 overtime. That was G2 Omelette, which did have major potential. There was also the most notable one of all, TSM M80, game 7 overtime with major spots on the line. There could have been a tiebreaker. There would have been a tiebreaker if M80 had beaten TSM and then lost to G2. However, there's also, series ending overtimes, like the one G2 versus TSM that was a sweep. Same thing, Genji OG ended on an overtime. In fact, nearly every series ended on overtime. It was actually nuts. Not for Genji SSG, but a shocking 5 out of the 6 quarter and semifinals ended on an overtime. And although the grand finals didn't, there were 3 overtimes in it. So a lot of series ending overtimes, a majority of the playoffs ended on an overtime game, and we're gonna watch some of them. All right, let me get this set real quickly here. If we quickly do this, yep, you guys can see Salty Shores released. By the way, I use Salty Shores as the thumbnail. But let's, whoops, that's the wrong thing. How did I queue? Alright, replays. That's the one we're looking for. So I think first up, we're going to tackle the TSM versus M80 overtime, because that is the most crucial one. And I'm going to be honest, If these aren't named right, I'll have no idea. Okay, good. They are named correctly. So we're going to look at this. It is TSM versus M80, Game 7. And we're going to look at this overtime because this was the series clinching, you know, everything on the line. And I need to get my sound fixed. Give me a moment. We're going to go on the fly cam. And we're going to talk about this because this is a lot, you know? It's a lot on the line here. Welcome, Ryan. How are you doing? Welcome, Miss Chotu, by the way. Welcome, Miss Chotu. Sorry, I missed it. You're a big Vitality fan. You hope they win. Well, Miss Chotu, you would hate to see this, but I actually predicted they'll miss the major. I do think they have a really good shot at making it, but they've looked the weakest they've ever looked. I will say they'll look the weakest they've ever looked, Chotu. And there's a chance. So you're gonna want to watch this weekend because Vitality they've got a lot to fight for. So it should be a fun watch, I guess, unless they miss it. But it'll be a fun, you know, nail biting watch. And yet, Ryan, we're going to be digging through everybody for that matter. We're going to be digging through this overtime. So let me skip ahead. So obviously there's 5 minutes of Rocket League, but we're going to get to the overtime because this decided a major spot. And obviously we know that in hindsight, but TSM knocking out M80 eliminated M80. And if M80 had won, there would have been a tiebreaker of OG versus M80. And obviously hindsight's 2020, but it's important to know. So this is a really long overtime, but I want to watch pretty much the whole thing. Again, this was the most important overtime. In fact, we'll watch the final like 12-ish seconds. Show you what happened in the end of regulation here. Actually, I can leave all this on. Might as well. So Jory is, look at that. Let's start with this, breaking this down. Jory is a brilliant catch in if we go to him. Whoops, I meant to do player view. If we go to Jory's, I want to watch his perspective here. Because in the end of this regulation here, he has the ability, he has full boost, 100 boosts. He has the ability to go for a crazy solo play to try and win the game. And that's what he does. And it also does the second thing. It buys time. The time is running out on this clock. And if it does, they will go to an overtime. And it's a 0-0 game. I think him and his teammates are feeling more comfortable in an overtime here. Welcome, Ashan. Or Ashan, what'd you say? Crazy thought? Real quick. Go for it. Go for it. You felt so bad for M80? Yeah, I felt bad for M80 too. Having recently interviewed Jory, it kind of feels bad. It really feels bad. Because like I know what they were talking about. Okay. I know that I mean, and I know this is true for all the pros, but you could hear the conviction in his voice. I mean, they really wanted this. And that's what made me realize, and I also saw a quote somewhere, I'm not going to remember where, but it was like about real life sports. Even though it's commonly said that it comes down to who wants it more. And I've said that. A lot of people say that, like, who wants it more? The reality is, most of the time in sports, you both want it equally. Or not that it's exactly equal, but you both want it. And it doesn't come down to who wants it more. It comes down to who has the cleaner execution. So it's almost like, despite really, really wanting it, you can't let the emotion get to you. And in overtime, and I think this was true for TSM just as much as it was for M80, the emotions did get to them. You could tell how nervous both teams were. And this is a great example. So like I said, he is going for a solo play, but he booms it away, and it was a nice musty, but he really gives us away pretty early. He had a lot of time. He could have dropped it to a teammate, went for a bump. He opts for the musty clear that he knows is very likely to be saved. And then instead of trying to bump Wavy, he has Nas there, he goes for a scoop, and it doesn't get anything accomplished. He goes to scoop the ball. LA actually backs off of it. He actually backs off it. His teammate probably called him off, but his teammate called him off just a second late, because if he had bumped Wavy, and instead of 50ing it, if Nasty got a free ball, maybe they could have made something of that overtime. Welcome, Trick Shotters. I do remember you. How are you doing, Trick Shotters? Also in the chat, Sean says, if we somehow got Omelette and OG playing in playoffs, rule 1, in playoffs round 1 and Omelette won, we would have had a 5-way tie. We would have. Yeah, we could have had a 5-way tie. TSM, M80, SSG, OG, and Dig. What would they do? What would they do? Oh, so I actually talked about this on Reddit. If they had a 5-way tie, because there were multiple ways, especially if you count during Swiss when things were still ongoing. But even into playoffs on Saturday, there was a way to have a 5-way tie. And the way it works is 2 teams get unlucky and have to play 2 series. All the other 3 teams, you have to win a series and you're in. It's basically a top 4 bracket, but there's a play-in. And that's just in the rules. The way the rules works is it's always a single elim bracket to get, the spots. And in this way, it would have been a 5-way tie for 2 spots, right? Or no, wait, for 1 spot. My apologies. So never mind. It would have been two teams would have had to play 3 series to win, and everybody else would have had to win like a semifinal and then a final, a grand final of this tiebreaker. So it would have been a 4-team bracket with a play-in. And who got the play-in is based on tiebreakers. So they go to what was your most recent best performance. So Dig would have the worst seed because they did worst in the most recent regional. Meanwhile, in this case, TSM and OG would be above M80 and SSG. So M80 and SSG, one of those two would have to play Dig and the other would get the leg up. It would go down to more tiebreakers like goals scored, stuff like that. Goal differential, game differential. Actually, game differential before goal differential. How much longer will this stream go? I'm probably going to stream for another half hour-ish, Trick Shotters. We're going to break down some of the big moments in North America. This most recent regional qualifying teams to the major. We're going to break down the critical moments like this overtime between M80 and TSM. We haven't even got to the overtime yet. We just broke down the final 10 seconds. Imagine if that really happened. I'd lose it if I were a player. Oh yeah, if you got unlucky and you had to play an extra match. So on the one hand, yes, but actually, I think we've seen it. Well, maybe not. I guess it just depends on how humble the player is. But if they're humble, they should probably feel like they don't. Sometimes players feel like they don't deserve a tiebreaker at all. They're like, we missed it. We don't deserve. We got lucky to be even be in this situation. Just win the games in front of us. Because let's be real here. It's already hard enough to win a tiebreaker. What's one more series? Now, the tough part is it's against Dig. And if it was SSG versus Dig, that's a brutal extra match to play for both those teams. And I could easily see where it's SSG versus Dig into OG, which are arguably the 3 top, potentially, depending on your opinion, the 3 best teams in a tiebreaker has to play one of M80 TSM. I mean, that would be just massive unlucky, but that's the way it is. It's not unlucky. They could have got 1 more point across the split, especially for OG's case. If OG's in that tiebreaker, they can only blame themselves for doing so poorly in the first event, as an example. So you can only blame yourselves. But anyway, let's break down this overtime. You hit Diamond 2. Congrats, Trick Shotters. Congrats on Diamond 2. Let's get into it. So, quickly, I'm going to break away from the player cam. Back to fly. So at the start of this overtime, a nice neutral 50 on the kickoff. AJ passes it up to Jorius. Jorius tries to go for a solo player. Nothing too crazy. I mean, this is basic stuff. If we break down the kickoff, actually, because we might as well. The way this kickoff went down, I believe it was just a neutral kill, right? Yeah, so neutral kill. Nas did a little bit of better job because the thing about pro kickoffs is it's counterintuitive. You want to lose the kickoff. This was an easier ball for AJ. Hockey had further to go. So they both cheat up, but it's easier for AJ to hit this ball because it was on his side of the pitch. So a nice lose there by Nas. Jorius reads the ball well. AJ has full boost, so his team's in a great position here. And in fact, Nas has a nice follow-up. And although Jorius turned away, it kind of gave Hockey a free ball, which he passes back to Creams. Then he passes it back to himself, Hockey. It was a nice start from M80. Unfortunately, they didn't make anything of it. That's natural. Pretty standard stuff so far. Nice beat there from Nas. He has to get a good 50 with Creams, and he does, but AJ rather is a bit too far to fall. So let's actually read into why is AJ so far away. And that's because he's in the corner boost. But why is he in the corner boost? He gets demoed. Okay, so this is literally, that's how demos are so important. If AJ hadn't been demoed here, he might have been in position for this pass from Nas. Like, look at this. This pass from Nas, the second touch here, if AJ hadn't been demoed, instead of being right here, AJ's probably further up. He's probably like here, and then he gets a shot in. So, sometimes these demos are more crucial than you realize. Hockey, nearly chance there, but Jorius does get the stop. AJ actually misses, so let's go back to this. Hockey, a nice 50 wavy, dribbles it. AJ's getting bumped. Okay, AJ's getting bumped. So let's watch this a little bit better angle here. AJ, he grabs the boost. Hockey is going for the bump. And that's why AJ missed. I think he saw Hockey coming in. Meanwhile, wave. In fact, actually, no. Let's double check that because we can fact check that. We can do the player view for AJ and see what he saw. He does see Hockey. I don't think he knew. I think he saw Hockey out of the corner of his eye, obviously. Like, he sees Hockey flying towards the backboard, but he doesn't actually know. So if he didn't know he was getting bumped, he really should have saved it. That's just a whiff, actually. That's just a whiff. So I gave a reason, and it turns out no, he just missed the ball. Nice clear by Nas. Cream still keeping it dangerous. Wavy, another nice 50. Oh, that's a good touch from AJ, because if he doesn't make this touch, it's really dangerous for his team. If we look at this, Hockey, honestly, I think Hockey's faking. Because if you see Hockey's going for like a redirect, almost a fake. If AJ misses this, it's an open net for Creams. So AJ has to make a touch, and he does. When I go back to chat, I'm kind of just breaking this down quickly. Nothing in the chat. Creams puts it on net. A nice save from Nas on low boost. Let's watch this from Nas's perspective. And this just goes to show you how crucial every single pad is. 48 boost. He actually opts to use none of it. But the double jump there, you know, still putting him in a dangerous spot. Each of these pads matter. Doria's, I kind of want to watch Nas for a bit. Doria's passes it. AJ, Creams. You see how he's like looking around the field. He was looking to see if he should go for that corner boost. He opts to keep on the play. Same thing here. Maybe he goes for a bump. See, I would have went for a bump there, but I'm not a pro. We kind of missed this, so let's stop watching player view. It's nice to see a player view every once in a while, but there's a whole play here in the wall, so let's see what happens here. So, right, AJ gets a touch, and then he kind of just has to leave this ball. It's a free ball for Hockey. Joria's almost got bumped, I believe, here by Wavy. Indeed, Wavy turned to him, went for a bump. Joria's, now he's out of position because he had to avoid Wavy. And honestly, I think he misses this 50 because, well, he does get a 50, but he would have had a better 50 if he hadn't been out of position. Nas just doesn't read this play in time. We were on his POV, and it's easy to see why. He literally wasn't watching. So he misses that read. Creams beats him to the ball. Now AJ has Jorius racing back to net, but it's just him. Jorius gets this ball to the wall, but Wavy will beat him there. Yeah, it's pretty standard stuff, but it just comes down to do you break down, or does the other team break down first? So it comes down to the micro, the you know, not making mistakes. Nas, a really brilliant 50 versus Creams, and this should give Jorius a free ball. Instead, Hockey goes for an early challenge, and this is a risky play because if instead of catching the ball like Jorius did, if he boomed it like right here, he had an opportunity. The ball was on his hood. In fact, let's watch this from his POV. Jorius has an opportunity here to boom the ball middle. And if he did, he would have beat Hockey by a mile. Here, right here, where I paused it, he could have 50'd this middle, and Nas or AJ, if we go back to Flycam. Not AJ, actually. No, yes, AJ. So, but AJ is ready if Wavy or Hockey clear it. And Nas, I guess, nah, they're not really ready for a pass. I take it back. They're not quite as ready as I expected, but still. AJ, good read. Nas, a really good trade-off, handoff. Wavy puts it to the corner. Creams is there. And that could have been a goal. So, let's talk this. Nas, Creams, Jorius is here. If Jorius, he gets that nice 50. If Nas hadn't turned away, this could have been a goal. I was trying to figure out what... I knew this could have been a goal, but I was trying to articulate how. So, Nas here. I don't know what his play is. I guess he's trying to get back quickly. But then he goes, he just, I don't know. He just kind of goes in a circle. And there's probably, his mind's going a mile a minute. So let's watch his POV. He lands, he doesn't have a lot of boost. He okay, yeah. So that's what happens. I think he's going back to net. Right here, when he turns off of ball cam, he's like, I gotta get back to net. Let me like go to this mid boost, kind of get the pads. Then he turns back for a half a second, and then he turns back again. He does a double take because he realizes, wait a minute, this might be a pass to me. But by then, it's too late. He's already missed his chance. Wavy is going to get to this ball first. So let's take it one more time, because this could have been the end of an overtime. Jorius passes it mid, but no one is there. Again, if Nas had only just... If he had only just done a short turn, if he had literally grabbed this pad, they win and they play a tiebreaker. That's how narrow this series was. That's how narrow. He could have been here. He could have beat Wavy. He would have beat Wavy to the ball. Right here. There would have been time for a turnaround. That's crazy. That Wavy gets it past not one, but two, because now Nas has turned around. Now he's out of position because he didn't go back to net. That means AJ has to make a save here. He gets a stop, but it's only just enough. He's running out of boost. Creams now is a free ball. Shot on target, saved by Jorius and AJ. who didn't get boost, so he must have had actually, he did actually have some boost. Gets a nice clear down the field. Hockey there for an easy save. Nas, another opportunity. It's a tough one, but there's an angle here, and he misses it. And even if he hadn't missed it, it wasn't fast enough anyway. Wavy gets a save. I mean, it wasn't on target, but he gets the touch that would have been a save. Now, AJ has to make a fairly crazy touch here. He does, but Wavy gets the best of him. Hockey to the sidewall. For any new viewers, folks, we're going through a North American critical major clinching moment. Well, it ended up being a major clinching for OG later on, but an important moment here where M80 were out of the major race by losing this Game 7 overtime to TSM. We're breaking it down step by step. Here's another opportunity. Let's watch the POV of Nas. Because Nas has an opportunity here. Really does. To win the game again. He has the flip reset. He gets it. He uses it. But AJ's too slow. Arguably, no mistake there from Nas. So let's check AJ's POV. If he had pre-jumped, this was a goal. But he jumps at the right, he doesn't, which is fair. It's fair not to pre-jump. And he still gets a 50 on Wavy. But he's a moment too slow. The ball falls the way of Jorius, who gets a nice bounce to the corner. But because both his teammates were involved in that previous play, they've both backed off. No one is there for his center. And in fact, the ball goes to Hockey, who is an almost free net. A nice, brilliant save from Nassau keeps the series alive. That's a brilliant demo from Wavy, and it's going to give Creams an opportunity. Instead, Jorius will find the ball. Hockey gets a beat. Creams will beat AJ, but AJ knew that, so he played it safe. Creams a follow-up touch. No double tap is incoming, but AJ has it read anyway. Wavy, a brilliant touch here. Pass middle, Hockey. Let's watch Hockey's POV, because this is another, now it's down the other way. This could have been a goal from Hockey. But it's a little bit longer. So he's picking up pads, he's using boost, but he slows down for a hair. Just a fraction of a second, and then the ball bounces out to him, and it's not enough. Jorius almost gets a clear, but instead it's Wavy's turn. Now it's Jorius' pass. Again, it's hard to read this, but in another situation where Hockey could have been that guy, the ball pops out to him. If he reacts half a second earlier, he might get this past AJ. Instead, he has to 50 it to the corner where Wavy is there. That's a nice read by Wavy. Let's in fact get into fly cam again. So Wavy puts it central. Nas gets a really nice save. 50's it out though, which is dangerous. Creams is there. And this is ultimately the downfall. So we're getting to the end of the game here. What's the situation? Let's check out the boost totals. So Wavy's out of boost. AJ with 50, but he's already airborne. Nas 39. This is the guy. 100 boost in net is Jorius. He really has to make this safe. And he doesn't. And this is kind of crazy because we'll look at Cream's POV in a second, but it really did feel like this goal came out of nowhere, right? Nas a good 50, but it's dangerous. It is dangerous. Creams has the ball. He can make a flick. AJ challenges him early. It goes awry. Nas jumps, and it really feels like right here, Jorius didn't want to double commit. So I don't want to blame Jorius because it almost feels like Nas called this ball, even though arguably Jorius was in the better situation, but Nas calls the ball and he just whiffs. He whiffs it. I mean, I don't want to be mean, but there's really no better way to say it. If we check Nas's POV real quick. Right? And that's tough. Like, that was his 50, so he wants to follow up on it. And he literally misses by like less than half a second. Like, let's talk about this because he's online to get with the ball. This is just a Creams flip, and by now it's too late, and he probably realizes that. But he could have flipped left. Instead, he flips forward, or might not even flip at all. And Jorius, which again, to the credit of Creams, it's a really powerful, quick shot. It's a snapshot. Jorius doesn't predict it either. Jorius got 150. Nas was there. It's out middle. It's got 100 boost. He's dead stopped. He actually backs up. Backing up's what killed him, actually. Because if we look at this again, I think if he doesn't back up, if he stays right here, he shouldn't have went forward a bit. He could have got the save. But it's just a bit too powerful. It's like no one expected just to flip straight on the net. And it goes in. What do you guys think? Let me know if you want me to break down more stuff like this, not only this stream, but in the future. And then finally, let's watch the POV of the man himself, Creams, who gets this goal. He actually grabs 100 boost from his own corner, and then he gets lucky. This ball goes right to him, and then he times the flip perfectly to beat both players. And that's the Rodosin Cardiff Redosin car diff. Alrighty, let's get a new replay up. So that was a, a really critical one. Another game 7 overtime was G2 Omelet. And obviously, I think the biggest thing to say here is I want to be real. I think if G2 loses to Omelet, I think TSM beats Omelet. Now, I know this would be an Omelet that beat G2, but Omelet was peaking, and I don't know if they're going to peak again. TSM, if they beat Omelet, suddenly the major race is different. I think, I forget if they make the major outright or if they force a tiebreaker, but either way, TSM are potentially into the major. So pretty big moment this overtime, I think. So let's break it down. We're going to scroll ahead to get to the overtime. But a really close series. The fact that G2 is going to overtime with Omelet is telling. Like, pretty crazy. This happens. Let's watch the final 20-ish seconds of regulation. So an opportunity there. Zanil sees it away. But now it's Atomic's turn. And Atomic, he kind of just bounces that one out. Beast Mode has to turn around on it. So now with 8 seconds, there's no real chance for G2. It's a tough spot for them. Daniel pre-jumps it. What was this from Daniel? I'm not quite sure what happened here. Because Daniel, like, immediately turns away from it. It's like, he just saw that he was going to miss, I guess. Ball goes to the corner. Atomic doesn't read it. They kind of gave Percy a free one. And Percy, for his credit, he manages to get it past everybody but Daniel. And Lion Blaze, who might have been there for a pass, jumps way too late, too little too late. Ball hits the dirt, and we have overtime. Overtime here, Lion Blaze, Percy, and Zanil. The nice beat by Atomic, but Percy reads it pretty easily. And now what we're going to see here is just insane pressure from G2. So pretty much this whole overtime is pressure. And it kind of makes sense. You kind of do expect it, again, the favorites, G2. But it's still kind of just crazy how much pressuring they do. It's like, this was probably the best chance if we go back to this. This play here. You think they're all beat. Zanil, he manages to get this by beast mode, but he booms it. And this was a mistake. Because if we look at the situation, let's watch Zanil's POV, right? Like, your teammate gets a save, it's to the corner, they're both there, you don't want to triple commit, but now you gotta. You 50 it, you get it past one. And then here, this situation on 20-ish boost on the wall, like, I get it, beast mode's about to land, but you have more time than you think. You can try and dribble it past beast mode, he's landed reversing, you can try and flick it. Instead, you opt for a quick quick boom, and it's immediately read by Daniel. Like, he is in the perfect spot to read this, and he does. He reads it, and so now that puts your teammates in a real tough spot, because now they have to get this save here. Daniel makes a snapshot, he gets it by one, Lion Blaze is there for the save, but now the boost's been expended. And although Percy picks up full boost, beast mode's still making this dangerous. Zanil has to make a save. Percy, a double commit. And it all starts to come crumbling. That was the moment. And from here on out, they really do struggle to break out. I mean, it's basically the G2 show. An opportunity there, Zanil does see it away, but again, feeling like a G2 show. Omelet really struggled in this overtime and never really got their own footing. Good 50, and yeah, really a struggle here from Omelet. A good look from Percy off the backboard, but that's the critical mistake. So that wasn't the goal that they let in, but this, I think this really messed up with their rotation. So Percy, he doesn't really clear this. Instead, he taps it right down to Daniel. And in the process, Zanil has to make a backwards diving save. And although he gets it, now people are out of rotation. Now people are low on boost. Zanil commits, Lion Blaze double commits, and although he does get the touch, again, they're really breaking up their rotation. Percy almost double commit there. And it gives the ball right back. Like here, from this scenario, like, okay, Lion Blaze, yeah, gets it, or Percy rather, gets it past one. What can he do? But he just leaves the ball. He leaves the ball to Daniel. Atomic gets a demo, and suddenly we're into an open field for Daniel. One man to beat Zanil, and he does get the job done. But again, it's feeling like a little bit too late, and Omelet really struggled here. Daniel puts it central, Zanil a whiff, and yeah, Lion Blaze gets a save, but it's not enough. And this is the crucial mistake of all the mistakes, because there were many. Not a bad touch from Percy, but what comes next is pretty bad. No follow-up on the 50, and with this ball just floating through the air, Daniel passes it middle, and Zanil, let's watch Zanil's POV. Zanil just whiffs. Just to be blunt, He is here. There is a world where off this touch from Daniel, he gets the touch, but he misreads the ball. If he had got that touch, it would have been enough. Instead, Lion blazes first into a pot shot save. Now let's check his POV, because like the placement could have been better, but at the same time, he's sitting here on 51 boost. Oh, I actually did. He did have time to get a better save, but it's tough. I mean, you got to angle your car to put it to the corner, and then it's like, which corner? Like, am I safe? And he doesn't think so. He tries to go for the double save. It wasn't enough, and G2 take it. And that was really the story of that series. You know, Omelette looked good. They did stuff great, and then they crumbled when it mattered most. So there we go. We've broken down some of the biggest moments out of NA. I think that's going to handle it for our recaps. So yeah, way too close for comfort. Exactly. It was much, much too close for comfort. I think that's going to handle it here. Well, you know what we'll do? We'll quickly take a look back again at the upcoming bracket for Europe and for the major, for that matter. So quickly, last thing before we go back to Europe, this is the bracket for the major. It's going to be a Swiss stage into a single elim playoffs, much like this split. In fact, next split will be the exact same format as well, and we already know some of the matchups. So EU1 is going to be versus Limitless, probably KCorp, although that's not locked in. EU2, probably BDS, will be playing Elevate, but again, not locked in. North America 1, which is G2, will be playing Pioneers, the number 2 team out of OC. That's a fun matchup. And the number 2 team from North America is playing the number 1 team from OC, Power. This one's going to be a bit closer, but it's still easily in Gen G's favor. Complexity will playing the EU3. That is the 2 seed out of SAM. And the 2 seed out of Middle East will be playing EU number 4. And then finally, we've got the North American bottom 2 seeds playing the number 1 seed from Middle East, Falcons, and the number 1 seed from South America, Furia. So some really fascinating matchups here. I think in particular, I would favor, Gen G. I would favor Falcons, and I would favor Furia. And although a lot of people don't have Furia in the top 4, I do think they are the favorites there. I love Luminosity. I really want them to succeed, but realistically, they're not looking like the favorites. You read somewhere that EU round 1 matchups were swapped. So they currently are this, like prediction I did. This is accurate. And they weren't swapped. What happened is Liquipedia had the wrong matchups. So the reality is Liquipedia is a fan-run site. They are not official. Everyone treats Liquipedia like it's official. I do it too. They are a godsend. Like the work they do as volunteers, cannot thank them enough. But that's the deal. They're unofficial. The matches can change, and they actually have changed multiple times a split. Or let me rephrase that. The seeding has been the same every single time this split. The number 1 seed plays the 15 seed. The number 16 seed plays the 2 seed. That has happened every regional in every region. But for whatever reason, Liquipedia had the wrong one, and they fixed it later. And the reason the seeds are messed up like that, and you don't have a pure 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, is because they don't want rematches of the upper finals. So let me share what I mean. One moment. Am I still streaming? I think I'm still streaming. Hopefully I'm still streaming. But something came up. I lost my chat, my ability to see chat. One moment. Hopefully we are still live. Awesome. Okay, I think we're still live. All right. Hopefully you guys didn't lose me for a minute. If you did, I'm back. But anyway, let's get into it. So, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I'm going to show you what happened. So basically, in the double elim bracket, which you guys should be able to see here, in the double elim bracket, this final matchup round in the upper bracket, they never want a rematch. So even though Resolve lost and they didn't even make it, and KCorp could have played Novo, they don't want the potential for a rematch. So they always make it the #1 seed versus the 15th seed and vice versa. It's happened every event for every region. It's just that Liquipedia and the spreadsheet was wrong, but they fixed it. It's okay. Not a big deal. People were thinking this was like a one-off thing, but that's what they've done for every regional. So, all right. Hopefully that answered your question. It wasn't, yeah, it was unintentional. Nobody was purposely spreading wrong information. Yeah, so these are the matchups. Like I said, you gotta favor Fury, you gotta favor Falcons. I'd love to see Luminosity win. OG, it's not impossible, but I think this one's probably the most lopsided of the matches so far. Even more lopsided than Power Gen.G, which is not what I would have thought earlier. Like, I really believed in that OCE was pretty terrible, to be blunt, after the last World Championship. But Power is really we haven't seen a dominant you know, leader out of OCE in a while, and because they were so dominant, that makes me, you know, think a bit more highly of Power. I think they might, I don't think they're gonna win a ton of series, but I do think they're gonna be able to go at least 1 win, maybe 2 wins in the Swiss. It's easy to say 1 win because they should be beating Limitless or Elevate, but I think they're going to be able to potentially get a couple wins in the Swiss. I'm going to postpone, obviously, predicting until we know who's coming out of Europe. People have already been posting major predictions and stuff like that around the internet. I'm not going to be predicting the major until we actually know who's out of Europe. But do look out for a stream where we go through Europe predictions, or not Europe, where we go through major 1 predictions, and I will have a power rankings video out about the major. So definitely look out for that. Welcome, ABAX. How are you doing? I hope you're having a great day. Unfortunately, you've made it right when the stream's ending, but welcome. Appreciate it. Yeah, no worries, Mystic, no worries. And with that, folks, I think we're going to end the stream. That's pretty much, we've covered everything we want to cover. If you missed it, you can go back and check out, you know, go back and look earlier in the stream. We covered all kinds of the predictions. We covered, you know, pick stop. We did checking out viewer predictions. We even looked through some North American, like the pivotal moments out of the North America, you know, major qualifying matches, like Game 7 M80 versus TSM. We checked out the Game 7 Omelette versus G2, those overtimes anyway, and broke them down. Welcome, Philip. I appreciate it, Philip. I appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic day, and thanks for watching. LG Fury, it's going to be great. That's going to be a fun match. It's going to be a fun match. But yeah, with that, let me pull it to full screen camera. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next stream. I hope to stream Saturday. If I don't do a watch party, we will do a recap stream at the end of the day, talking, and that'll be exciting because there's a potential at the end of the day Saturday that we still have a major spot on the line, or maybe the major spots have been decided. So we'll do a stream Saturday, one or the other, either a watch party or a recap. Do you know why AJ underperformed? Did he say? No. What was that, Mystic? What did he say? Then I'll end stream. Now you got me curious. I know he tweeted something about First Killer's father. Yeah, I'll check it after. But anyway, no worries, Mystic. I'll check it out on Twitter. Boot camping. Well, he was on boot camp. He doesn't like boot camping, really? He wasn't comfortable with the setup. Hey, can't win them all. I feel like it, I mean, that I get it, but you usually play on you know, setups you don't like on LAN anyway. So I feel like you should be used to playing on unfamiliar setups at this point, but I guess you're never used to it. So all right, no worries. Thanks, Mystic. I appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a fantastic evening or night or whatever time of day it is for you. We'll see you guys next stream. On the regional was a blunder. I don't say. I feel like boot camping helps you more than it hurts you, and we've seen that time and time again. But yeah, I get it. Alrighty. Hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you guys next stream. Thanks for watching. See ya.